Page 35, waiting. At the top of the page, they're talking a little bit up there about syncopation. Have we not had syncopation before? I don't remember. Simply put, syncopation is when you either play a note when you don't expect to, or you don't play a note when you do expect to. It's the unexpected as far as rhythm goes. The rhythm isn't behaving like you think it's going to. It's doing something different. The example they're giving there, up there on the clap, and you do that. I want to talk about the music. I prefer to point to the music when I'm talking about this stuff. Now, I need a simple place in this music. Look at the third line down, second measure, right hand. With these chords. Left hand has the same rhythm. You can do the left hand too. Same rhythm. Well, take out the tie, and this is what you'd get. And that's what we more or less expect. But what they do is they tie the last note together so you don't play it. You're just hanging on to the previous note. And that is an example of syncopation. You didn't get the note you were expecting when you expected it. And this same rhythm is all over it. It's in the first line and last line and second line. They're just tying two notes together to throw it off. This is just one example of syncopation. Syncopation's been around. Beethoven was big on syncopation. There's a lot of syncopation going on for hundreds of years. So it's nothing new, but it's a lot of fun when you get to it. Now, let's just go over this carefully so we know we got the right rhythms. I'm going to play it, for now, I'm going to play it just like it's written. I'm going to play the eighth notes evenly. So at the beginning in the right hand, you have this, an E flat, E. Later on in that line, it's the same rhythm, different notes. Watch the accidentals, lots of accidentals in blues. Second line, similar rhythm, altered it just a little. If you don't want to put your thumb on that C sharp, we just alter them a little bit. Put your thumb on the D. So it's a then crossover to that. That's fine. Next measure, that's the third measure, second line. This is the fingering more or less with the scale. And then last measure for that. Then the chords in the third line for the right hand, no big deal. And the last line is similar to the second line in many respects. Left hand, again, rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2. The notes are not really a problem, it's the rhythm. Can you get the rhythm? The third line down, quarter notes, hopefully you can get that rhythm, etc. Watch the notes in the third measure. A flat, C. Here, it's not a problem putting a thumb on a black note because you're already up here more or less because of the little finger, and you're not playing any other fingers in between when you play the thumb. You're on black notes here. And when you do that, your hand has to be up in this area, but since there's no white notes involved right in there, it's not a problem. So that's okay. Last line, and the first measure is okay. Second measure though, you gotta reach down. Just reach down and get the 2. And then you stay there for the rest of the line, and then when you DC, you're still there. Now putting the hands together rhythmically, you're gonna have to just go really, really slow and easy with it. At the beginning, it starts left hand, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and. See the second measure? 1 and hang on to that note for 2. You're not playing it again. 1 and 2 and, but you play this on the end of 2. 1 and 2 and 3, and then you got to lift up the right hand on 3. No problem, right? There you go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2. out this rhythm very carefully and try and be as exact as you possibly can be with it. Go really slow at first, because once you kind of get it at the beginning, then you can speed it up or whatever you need to do. I can't talk and play at the same time, but eventually it says moderately slow. You'll have to decide what that is. It's a slow moderate. To me, that's like an andante or something. It's just a nice strolling speed, nice and easy. 1 and 2. They don't give you any articulation. I tend to add my own articulation, which is a form of improvising. Changing the articulation, you just got to know that you're changing it on purpose. You're not just not paying attention to the music. See, there's no articulation given except for the accents. So you can, once you learn it, you can improvise like that. You can change, you can play some notes staccato if you want to. It's okay. Speaking of accents, let's just cover those briefly. At the beginning, first measure, there's an accent on the fourth beat. Typically the fourth beat is the weakest beat in the measure, but in jazz and blues, they accent it. So it's 1 and 2 and 3. There's no accent on the second measure, I don't know why. And then in the third measure, so watch the accents, you'll have to work those in too. Third line down, accent on the second and fourth beat. I don't know why they're not accenting the second beat of the second measure though. Maybe it's because of the syncopation. So you put the accent on the last chord of the measure. I would encourage you, put a little accent on each of these where that has a eighth note and quarter note tied together. I'd just put a little accent on those. Bring those out. At the beginning in the second measure, bring out that Now there's a DCL fine at the bottom. The fine is the bottom of the end of the second line. So you go through all 4 lines and go back up and do the first 2 lines again. There's an acoustic jamming note at the bottom, so you can do this yourself or have another person play along. Or another idea is if there's a bass guitar player or some bass player around, have them play that line. But they're going to play an octave lower, so rather than here, they're going to play the bass line down here. Since this is a blues piece, I'm going to play it in a blues style. Now you can play it either way. They say at the bottom the rhythm could be rock or jazz. Well, if you play it in a rock style, play them even. But if you're going to play it in a jazz style, swing the eighth notes, which is what I'm going to do in this play with me thing. Now dynamics wise, there is an MP at the beginning, so it's medium soft for the first 2 lines, more or less. You can fluctuate that a little bit. You don't have to stay right there. It's supposed to apply to melody, but I kind of think in this piece, play both hands more or less the same. I think it works out better. And the third line, it's loud for the whole loud line. But you know what I mean, yeah. And in the fourth line, you're starting out soft for the first couple measures, and then for the last 2 measures, you start to get louder. And you could go all the way up to a loud if you want. But when you do the DC, you got to come back down to a medium soft. Experiment and see what you think on the dynamics. Let's try this out slowly, just to check the notes and the rhythms, and try and get in the accents. Now what I'm going to do here, I'll give us 4 counts. So go ahead and put your hands where they go. I'll give us 4 counts. Let's do this together slowly. 1, 2, and ready, and go. And 1, 2, and 3. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. And rest and rest. To the top, and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. Rest.